Welcome back, Mr. Goodberry. The First Star Logistics studio is fully equipped and ready to record.
Bills Bengals this week, Sunday night football. I'm Joe Goodberry. This is my brother, Glenn Goodberry, obviously. Bills fan here. We're from Western New York. If you watch the intro there and you see the camera zoom out from Western New York and zoom back into Cincinnati before the show starts, that clears up a little bit of confusion there. I've had people wonder, hey, why does it do that? Well, because I live in Western New York and my brother here is a Bills fan. We got a big game this weekend, obviously. This is Bengals on the Brain, presented by First Star Logistics. Remember, get in on the Xbox One X, custom wrapped First Star Bengals. It's orange and they use the tiger head. First Star is always down with the tiger head rather than the B. Yeah, I like the B, but the tiger head, like, way better, right? I mean, even a Bills fan could agree.
I like the leaping tiger.
Yeah, well, I think the tiger head with the leaping tiger is pretty much one logo.
The tiger head's cooler than the B in my opinion.
Oh, for sure. And I'm glad they've embraced it and started using it more. But make sure you get in on that contest. There's still time. We'll probably announce it. They didn't tell me to say this. I'm assuming we're going to do that Sunday night during the game, halftime, probably something like that. Put something out there. So make sure you get in while you still can. Check it out on Twitter, First Star Logistics. We've got news. We've had the trade deadline. Obviously, last episode, a lot of comments where people were saying, hey, nothing about the trade. That was recorded before the 4 p.m. deadline. As you know, it takes hours to upload this stuff. So that was all done. The Bengals did not make a trade. Obviously, if you're just now finding that out, that's probably weird, but I assume you know by now. The Bills did make a trade. We'll talk about that. We'll get to some news, and then we'll preview the game. And I'll let him talk a little bit more and get his perspective on Sunday night's showdown. So the only move the Bengals did, and it was at tight end, we've been talking about tight end all year long, is elevate Tanner Hudson from the practice squad. Tanner Hudson, who we talked about a lot during the summer months when I was down there at camp, and then during preseason, he had a great preseason. Looked like their best receiving option at that position, and they've been real disappointed with what they've gotten out of Irv Smith, I think. Drew Sample's doing his thing, but he's a blocker, and he's Drew Sample. He never lived up to that second-round hype, but he can do what he's got to do in his role. But Irv was supposed to be that receiving weapon that could get downfield. He just hasn't shown that, and I wonder if he's losing the trust of Joe Burrow and the coaching staff. So they bring up Tanner Hudson. I'm not sure he's a great blocker. He is going to be 29 years old next month and 5 years in the league. I'm not expecting him to be like some guy. This is the Bengals. Like, they didn't make a trade. They didn't do what they probably should have done. To be honest, they should have made a trade at, in my opinion, defensive tackle, running back, and tight end, and should have got super aggressive to get over the hump. Team that did get super aggressive, and it's this week, I think the Bills did exactly what they're supposed to do. Number one, a lot of Bengals fans were saying, hey, bring in Leonard Fournette. Bills bring in Leonard Fournette at running back. You know, this is their 10-day off. They played Thursday night versus the Bucs. Then they get 10 days to prepare for the Bengals. They signed Leonard Fournette. Number one, I think, because some of their goal line and inside the 20 going in, power rushing, hasn't been as effective as they expected.
No, they don't seem to like to rush Cook very much inside that 20-yard line, inside the red zone. They love their, flash and dash. So they'll, Cook is anything outside typically. Yeah. He hasn't started the last few games on the sheet and taken the first snap per se, but
Cook hasn't?
Cook has not.
Who they've been putting out, what's his name?
Murray.
Yeah. Latavius Murray.
So they've been putting Murray out there, and he's not doing too well in the red zone. And their plan was to give him those goal line carries, give him those red zone carries. And then Damian Harris, we lose to neck injury. And then it sounds like, Leonard Fournette, hopefully, and from what I understand, he's a good pass catching back. And, maybe.
And he's got power. I mean, he's 235 pounds.
You see those quads?
Oh, man, he's always been a freak. He always was. I remember high school tape and then LSU stuff where he was just completely the most athletic and dominant, physically guy out on the field. But and the Bills weren't done there. They knew they needed a defensive tackle, especially a one tech to replace DaQuan Jones. Remember the last playoff game? Remember, we're tailgating, getting ready for that game, and it's like, oh, the inactives come out. DaQuan Jones isn't playing, and I was like, dude.
I remember you came up and you hit me in the chest.
Yeah.
And you were like, DaQuan Jones is not playing.
Right, and I'm thinking like Mixon's about to go off. The Bengals are about to run this ball down the Bills' throat, and they did, and that was a big part of their game. So when DaQuan got lost for the year, The Bills have been ravaged by injuries at linebacker now, Matt Milano, Trey White, and we'll get to the corner position in a second. But they signed Linval Joseph, been in the league forever. I mean, the dude looks like a nose tackle, and he's been effective. He only played about 180 snaps last year. He got signed by Philly halfway through, made it similar situation. Remember Philly halfway through the year?
Yeah.
Signed Linval and Ndamukong Suh because they needed D-tackle depth to make that run. The Bills are trying to do the same thing here.
These older players sometimes, especially ones that still have a little bit in the tank, that can try to avoid the training camps, the grueling grind of September and October games, sign on with a franchise that could potentially give them a Super Bowl ring.
Yep.
And, hopefully can contribute, I think.
And I saw he still got $3 million. So you're getting $3 million for the final 10 games or whatever. Whew.
Yeah, exactly. So he's getting paid. He's probably going to be a 10 to 20 snap guy because they heavily rotate.
Yeah.
And it'd be nice to have him to plug up a little bit. Big body, 6'4", was he 340 pounds?
Oh, yeah.
It was considered the NFL's strongest man at one point.
Yep.
His bench press is insane. Just kind of, I'm ready to see him.
Yeah.
What he could do.
And so then the other move, the trade deadline move, which we've alluded to, the Bills realized they needed something at corner. Kyrie Elam hasn't taken that step. They lost Trey White. They signed Josh Norman a couple weeks ago, who was on the roster, 2 years ago? So they tried to do something, tried to make some moves, realized it wasn't enough. They're going to need to do more, and they go and trade for Rasul Douglas from the Green Bay Packers, who has been with them for 3 years now, 2.5 years, I guess, if you're counting this year, and been really probably had his best 3 years of his career. He was kind of up and down with the Eagles before that, and the way he's played with the Packers has been really, really good. So you're getting a 6'2" guy, not the fastest. Again, I think that's an issue with the Bills secondary. Because they're not the fastest group. I mean, if I remember correctly, Douglas was a 4.59 guy coming out 7 years ago or whatever it was. So you're not getting speed, but you're getting a physical guy with good ball skills, and I think he'll fit pretty well.
Yeah, zone coverage guy too. Elam was supposed to be that man coverage guy, and he was just having his difficulties, really performing to that. And so with this pickup, hopefully he comes in and probably starts off as,
You think he's going to play right away? Is he talking like they're going to?
He says he's preparing as if he's going to be playing this week. I don't know if he gets heavily involved this week. They could use him if he can maybe get in. He might rotate a little bit. I would expect him to dress and be out there. But
do we expect Fournette and Linval Joseph to dress? Maybe Joseph, I think. I don't know about Fournette, though.
Yeah, so I don't know entirely. I would think maybe Joseph does. I don't know that Fournette will.
Yeah. All right, so that's the news for this week. The Bengals appear to be relatively healthy. Trey Hendrickson is practicing as of Thursday. I expect him to be fine. Zach Taylor said he should be fine. So the Bengals injury report looks pretty healthy. The Bills have gone through it this year, but relatively going into this week with 10 days off, they should be as good as they can be right now, except for Josh Allen, that he missed the first day of practice. He's dealing with an AC sprain. Remember, I separated my AC joint. Fully separation. That is no joke if you've ever done that. So I think he's going to be fine. He's going to play through it.
Yeah.
He just needed a day, and why not give him rest? He's been in the same system for how long now? He doesn't need that. So we're going to get into more of the game. That's the news at this point, and more of kind of the feeling going on. We went to the last two Bengals-Bills games last year, the Damar Hamlin game, and then we sat in the first star suite for that one.
Yep.
And then we went to the playoff game.
Here in Buffalo.
Yeah, in Buffalo, which was an awesome atmosphere in the snow, and I remember it more fondly than he does. We'll go over a few memories and things to set up this game from our fan experience.
Yeah.
So Glenn and I and our wives we're heading down to Cincinnati about 36 hours from now. Probably when you watch this, it'll be about 12 hours from now, and if maybe even 10 or 11. Let's not do math on the show. I don't want to do that, but. We've been down there a bunch. Obviously, I'm a Bengals fan, and First Star brings me out all the time. But we've gone down as Glenn's root. Hey, he's sat there and wore Bengals stuff before. Yeah. And remember the Jags game? We went down Thursday night football. That was Jags, right? 2021 year the Bengals went to the Super Bowl. He was right with us supporting. So if you're not sure of the dynamic here, and if you don't follow Glenn and I on Twitter, we are very supportive of each other and each other's teams. I'd like if the Bengals lose. I hope the Bills go and win the Super Bowl, right? Yeah. And of the AFC teams, I've got no issue with the Bills at all, and I think you probably feel the same way.
Yeah, before this whole Twitter thing and everything else, we rooted for players. The NFL did a great job of promoting players. And I remember stealing your Carl Pickens jersey in middle school in 1997. and wearing this Carl Pickens jersey to school, and I'd also wear a Jim Kelly jersey to school, and then we, Randy Moss, that was big Brett Favre. But anyways,
Yeah.
So being able to do these things with you, and I want to mention First Star, who's really
Yeah, feel free.
accepted me and sort of allowed me to come with you, experience these things together.
Yeah.
In a first class, first rate, sort of presentation of it all. Also,
Well, you can tell they care about family, so they know,
exactly.
like as they met you the first time, they're like, oh, they're cool. We can
Yeah.
bring them in, even though they're opposing fans. He
Yeah.
knows that it's important, and we have a good time, and because it's going to be interesting, because it was last time we were down there for the Hamlin game and the playoff game. We stand next to each other, we're watching, we're analytic, emotional, but supportive at the same time. I'm like, man, why aren't the Bills disguising anything on defense? They're letting the Bengals just go down the field in that playoff game.
Right.
And it's like, I'm watching it from my heart and my perspective, but at the same time, from like looking at him like, dude, they need to switch it up. Something needs to happen. It's not that I'm rooting for them.
Sure.
It's just that I can, I'm watching it from a football perspective and from my brother.
Yeah, the football fan perspective, you want to see a good game.
Yeah.
And then, the dialogue and the talking back and forth. And, aside from the Bills, the Bengals, I probably watch just as much as I do Bills games and his content. And, half my mutuals on my Twitter are Bengal fans because they're so supportive of my brother.
Yeah.
That, they come to me and I just try to dazzle them with pizza and wing content, even though, they don't want to see my Bill stuff, and I get that. But,
you know what I think it is, though? I think the cities and the fan bases are very similar, in their attitude and approach, and we get along and mesh that Hamlin game, when we went down there, I mean, it was kumbaya. Everyone was drinking and eating and hanging out together. There was no, animosity between Bills and Bengals. Both teams were on like an 8 and 9 game win streak at the time, and both teams were making the playoffs. We weren't really, concerned with the seeding at the time until, everything happened afterwards. But it was just fun, and the atmosphere was fun. I hope it stays that way, despite, I think the Bills could have something a little extra for the Bengals.
Yeah, like you're saying, the pregame was pretty fun. It was, I get accepted pretty well. Everybody's having a good time. And then after the game ended up getting canceled, leaving the stadium, everybody was so nice and reaching out. And I had a lady grab my arm and just tell me she was thinking of us, a Bengals fan. She was thinking of us, and like just the different, avenues of outreach that I'd received personally, just being there in my Bills colors.
Mm-hmm.
That city, regardless of football and who wins these games. And, it's just, there's going to be a special place for that city in my heart. And,
yeah, no doubt. And do you feel, though, because like on Twitter the last couple of days now, do you feel, because I think it was nice that both teams got back on track their last games, right? The Bills came out hot and were firing, no huddle offense, really picking up the pace against the Bucs on that Thursday night game. The Bengals handled their business completely versus the 49ers. So both teams are, and of course we got to play right now. So, everyone, I think right off the bat, everyone's excited. Like, yes, finally we can play these teams while both teams are feeling great. We had that last year for that game, but we didn't end up, we didn't get to see it.
Right.
So then we, now we're going to get it again. And it's nice to see that. But you see it on Twitter and in social media, man, there's some barking and chipping going back and forth, I think, a little bit here.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks. We got embarrassed in Buffalo. And, Bengals really sort of gravitate to the, the motivational sort of avenues they take, and the fans feed off it, the Bengals fans. And Bills fans are really trying to not look, a certain way because of getting our tails kicked in Buffalo. But
do you think that's what it is? Do you think Bills fans are maybe a little defensive about it?
Yeah, because, I think there's, we got, so the Bengals do what they do to us. And then on top of it, we've got the Eli Apple stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Which was a huge part of the aftermath.
And that's why I'm glad he's on the Dolphins now, which is hilarious that he's on the Dolphins. You guys got to deal with that twice a year. But I still get stuff about Eli Apple now on Twitter where people are like, yeah, well, Apple said this. Listen, Apple was not a representation of this fan base and team. That dude was a loose cannon. He always was.
Sure. And, that's just how we had to sit on that for 8 months.
Yeah.
And it was just, now we're, just about the halfway point of the year, and we're getting another crack now to play the Cincinnati Bengals. And I don't see it in my head as like a Bills Chiefs rivalry or the Bengals Chiefs rivalry.
Yeah, I don't either.
I see this as like okay, right now we're clamoring for a wild card spot. We're kind of second, or lower in our divisions right now, respectively.
Mhm.
And, um, you know, we really need to do this. A loss for the Bengals could really set them back
Oh,
on
for
their
sure.
percentage of making the playoffs,
For
and the
sure.
same thing with the Bills. And so you're sort of getting that fired up intensity. I know.
Because the stakes. I
Yeah,
mean,
the
we're
stakes are
halfway
high.
through the year, so you can recover. There's time. Whoever loses this game, there's time to get
There
back.
is.
But you're right. Going into this stretch, the Bengals have to play the Niners, the Bills, and then turn right back around Thursday Night Football versus the Ravens, I believe. And so that's a stretch for them. They need to win 2 out of those 3,
Mhm.
and it's going to be tough. And if they go and lose to Buffalo and then Baltimore, man, the hit to their playoff odds is going to be drastic. So
Sure.
it really feels like must-win situations ahead of them. But I think that's when the Bengals play their best ball.
Sure. And I see a very motivated Josh Allen. And there's a problem with a motivated Josh Allen, and there's also a great thing about a motivated Josh Allen. And unfortunately, I feel like you can get 3 turnovers with
Yeah,
a
yeah,
highly wild stallionish Josh Allen, or
yeah,
you get 3 TDs out of a highly motivated Josh Allen.
yeah.
We'll see how this goes. I'm excited for this matchup. It's great because both teams are playing good teams. So being able to either beat a good team
Right, that's
or
good for
you
you,
lose to a good
and
team,
it's not the worst.
and it's not the worst. And
Yeah,
this is still the midway point of the season. So you still can make up some ground.
yeah.
The Bills play the Broncos on Monday Night Football next week. That's a great opportunity to bounce back if they needed it.
Man, Bills are a
But
lot of primetime games in a row then, huh?
yeah, they've got one more 1 p.m. game that's at the end of the year with the New England Patriots, and everything else is in the national TV
Wow.
spotlight, which I don't personally like. I kind of like taking the back seat, but
I mean, I guess we're going through that too. We just had the 425,
yeah,
Tony
yep,
Romo, CBS, then Sunday Night Football, Thursday Night Football. We got another one coming up week 13, I want to say, is the Jags Monday night. So yeah, the Bengals and Bills, similar situation.
the
They got some
Bengals get
prime time.
5 primetime games this year. I think the Bills got 6. I think the Bengals were right there with like
Yeah,
5.
I want to say it was 5 as well. But yeah, the Chiefs got 6, the Bills got 6. So we took a slight to that because everything is got to take a slight, right?
It
And
is.
that's what's in the news today. I think was the Bengals players. It was Tyler Boyd and Jamar Chase saying again that there were players on the Bills that in Buffalo that said if it wasn't snowing, we would have beat you guys. We would have won that game. And I think that comes from Isaiah McKenzie saying they weren't prepared for the snow, and so they twist it, and that's kind of what the Bengals do. I'm having a conversation on Twitter with some Bills fans, and I don't think they realize that because they're saying, well, they make up these fake narratives to get themselves motivated. I'm like, yeah, they do. Like
Right.
they absorb the Joe Burrow maniac mindset, the Tom Brady thing of him, right? The whatever slight is out there. Nebraska didn't give me a scholarship, wouldn't let me
Yep.
transfer to them. He's still mad about it. Like they take these things and they help motivate them to play extra hard. And I think you have to do that. And I don't think, and maybe the difference here is the Bills legit have motivation because they lost in the playoffs last year
Sure.
to them, and they danced in their end zone and acted like fools after the game. Mostly Eli Apple again,
Yep.
but so that's real motivation versus manufactured motivation. But if it works,
Sure.
it works the same. And I
Yeah.
think the Bengals are going to use it as long as they can.
Michael Jordan was known to sort of do the same
Yeah.
thing too, and then also get his teammates to buy into it and elevate his teammates. But that's a lot of it is that it's sort of a misconstrued sort of sound bites, and the media was sort of picking that out of was it Higgins and Boyd today, right? So they were kind of trying to pull. They asked the specific question. Chase was also asked. I watched a 6-minute Jamar Chase interview, post practice interview, and they were trying with Jamar Chase. He wasn't really biting, but Tyler Boyd had a bunch to say, and Tyler Boyd's got a special spot in my heart, at least
That's right.
from helping break our drought. But we'll see how it goes. There's it's easy for the fans also to bite into this narrative, and like I said, I think Bengals fans really do a sort of a good job of really holding on to that. Also, like Cincinnati fans really sort of embody the spirit of the Bengals right now too, with that underdog role and sort of really hanging on to that motivation and getting fired up.
So we're heading down. It's about a 7-hour. We might make it an 8-hour trip. We'll be there Saturday. So if you see us down there, especially this guy, he's gonna be wearing his custom Goodberry jersey. I'll have mine too. So if you see a couple Goodberry Bengals Bills, can't be anyone else. I don't think so.
No.
And when we go for the tailgate, we'll be out there lot 1. I think we'll head that way first. Then head to Bengal gyms around 5:30. Hang out there for a couple hours. We got to see Jim, got to see our guys up from Bengals and Brews and stuff in lot 1, and have a good time. So don't, seriously come up and say hi. We'd like to talk football, like to talk about the two cities and food and whatever else we can get into there.
If you can wear like a button with your Twitter handle on it,
that would be great.
That way
actually,
I can be like, I know that person. That I know that profile picture.
No, that does happen a lot though. That brings up a point. You ever, because people come up and say, "Hey, I watch your show or I follow you on Twitter," and it's like, "All right, what's your name, man? I don't know. You got to
tell me your real name. Tell me,
right? What's your handle?
You're at Prickly Pete on Twitter. I want to know. Oh, Prickly Pete. I know you."
Right, but we'll be up in the First Star Suite watching the game there. It's a great way to watch a game for sure. I mean, I like the upper view to watch, the X's and O's of it all.
I got the question though. The First Star Suite, is it an orange section or a black section for
to be honest,
Sunday Night Football?
I didn't even think of that. Because we're in the suite, I didn't even think we should coordinate for the stripes. Can you think they can pull that off? I think that's going to be incredibly hard.
It sounds pretty wild to me. You're always going to have the stragglers, I guess, but I think
there's going to be some blue because of it.
Yeah, there, some. I know Bills fans are talking about wearing blue if they're there because the Reds are a little orange, maybe wear white, but wearing blue, I plan on wearing blue.
This makes me think right now I'm going to send a tweet out and quote tweet that the Bengals original stripe Paycor thing.
Yeah.
It's basically don't wear white, right?
Yeah.
Because wear orange, wear black. Only if you do that, you'll pretty much stripe the stadium. You wear white, and that's what really messes it up. Just orange, black only if you can.
And the Bengals actually got a really cool pregame sort of presentation
with the lights and everything.
Yeah, we were there for Monday Night Football last January. It was wild. I'm like, how are they doing this? I had no clue how they were.
It's on the app, and so download the Bengals app, and it syncs up your flash, your camera, your light bulb on your phone. So you just hold your phone up, and it knows to blink everyone based on where you're sitting.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. I don't know. What about Saturday night? Is there anything later on? I don't know what our plans
That's right.
For that, but we got a couple appointments Saturday when we get there, and then later on, I don't know if anybody's doing anything.
Yeah, let us know. Hit us up on Twitter. Put it in the comments too. I don't care. If you don't mind everyone showing up. Where are you guys gonna be at Saturday night? Where can we get some drinks, hang out, maybe have a good time Saturday night? I think it'll be cool though. But yeah, quick trip for us, a couple days. Spend it watching the game. Hopefully, it's good for both of us. You got a prediction for the game while we wrap this up a little bit?
Sure. I think I can see a pretty close game.
Not just score. Give me something you expect to see.
Okay.
And then a score.
I expect.
Am I putting you on the spot with it? Because I can go.
No, because I have a few things in my head because I can never necessarily pinpoint it. But if I were to say what needs to happen, Josh Allen needs to go blow for blow with Joe Burrow in that Bengals offense.
Yeah.
Bengals defense is pretty stout. That makes me nervous. What my prediction is, a highly motivated Josh Allen and a Joe Burrow fully healthy with his swagger back. It should be a high-scoring game.
Yeah, and both teams are going up a lot of explosive plays this year. So I think we could see a show from that perspective of, man, you might be a little bit frustrated watching both if you're watching from a defensive mindset, which a lot of times I do. I don't realize I'm doing that, but, I get disappointed even when both defenses are giving up big plays. And I think that could be one of those games. But, hey, I'll take a 34-31 type, and that's what I'm expecting. So, I'm putting my score on it. I'm expecting big plays. I think we're going to get a T. Higgins touchdown, which it's been a while. It's been a bit of a drought for T. Higgins to start this year.
Sure.
But if I was thinking today, if Rasul Douglas is going to be active, that's who I'd put on Higgins. Put 6'2" on 6'4". It's your best chance, right? And then, let them go 1-on-1. But I do like Higgins this week, and I think the Bengals win 34-31. Did you give a score?
I gave I don't know if I gave a score. I see more like a 31 to 27.
Yeah. Coming down to the final drive, someone's got to do something. Either it happens or it doesn't. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, I expect early scoring too. Both games last year, the The Bengals came out, scored. The Bills drove right down and got a field goal out of it, right? It was a Beasley drop on third down, right at the 5-yard line or something, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah, that's right.
So both teams were into it right away, and then it looked like the Bengals were driving again to get into scoring range, and then that carried over into the playoffs where the Bengals drove right down and scored right away. The Bills just weren't into it for whatever reason that day, but I think that continues. The Bengals scored on their first drive 3 games in a row now, and they seem to give up drives early in games on defense before they really clamp down and make their adjustments. So I'm expecting to see that, and I'm just really excited to get back to Cincinnati. I was there for the Rams game. And excited to see everyone. There's a lot of people that I missed last time, so it's been at least a year for a lot of people that we've met, and we made a lot of friends. The last few years here doing this, and reaching out on social media and having a good time. So this has been Bengals on the Brain. I'm Joe Goodberry, my brother Glenn Goodberry. Make sure you say hi to us. Show is always presented by First Star Logistics, taking us down there, putting us up in Cincinnati, putting us in the First Star Suite. Make sure you get in on the giveaway, the Xbox One X. You guys have one?
What's that?
An Xbox One X.
No, we got PlayStation 5. That's about it.
Okay. Well, you guys tell your son to enter the contest, and maybe you can win one. And
it's Bengal Stripe.
It is Bengal Stripe. That's why I'm going to enter it for Braden to get him in there, and he can represent. Until next time, we'll see you. Who day?
Dave Lapham here, and every day I am grateful for my experience to have played professional football. As a player, I realized self-motivation, leadership, and appreciating your teammates are key. At First Star Logistics, you can use those same attributes to create the life you want for you and your family. Build your future by working hard like I did. You'll see results both on and off the field. Call First Star Logistics today and be part of our winning team.
Opportunity knocking.